Welcome to the weekend recap. It's simply Bitcoin. We break down the news from Twitter, the daily fail, the meme review, software releases, hardware releases, websites by plebes or plebs. Drop us a like, subscribe. You know where we're going. It's number time. Let's take a look at what we got.
Number time.
At the time of this recording, the block height is 693,777. Interesting number right now.
It is.
Anyways, that's pretty crazy. 777. Bitcoin price, 40,295. Chain rewrite days, 1,092. Total public lightning capacity, 2,107.77. All-time high. Anyways, Bitcoin versus gold market cap, 6.39%, and sats per dollar, 2,482. Look at that, huh? We are just growing and growing on Lightning.
It's crazy, dude.
Right?
It's nuts, man. It's nuts. And really, man, and I keep saying this, and I'm going to keep saying it so people remember, that's the goddamn signal, bro. The more that lightning capacity grows, dude. And, dude, it defeats all the goddamn shitcoin narratives. It defeats all of them. You know, the transaction percent is like, bro, lightning, my friend. A lightning. And everyone's going to be, dude, I'm telling you, everyone's going to know the Lightning Network in 5 years. 5 to 10 years, everyone and their mother is going to be either knows about the Lightning Network or is using it, man, because it's literally the fucking future. But anyways, Phil, it's time for it.
The daily fail. You know, I almost thought that we weren't going to get some type of a shitcoiner fail this weekend. But of course, right, I'm just being an idiot because we know that they're going to pull through. And of course, right, July 31st, this, you know, BSV shitcoiner. We're going to post a link to the thread so you guys can go and read through the whole thread, but here we go. Let's take a walk through this absolute stupidity. Let's do it. All right, here we go. I can't just walk into the headquarters of a McDonald's and decide it's not a hamburger franchise anymore. I'm not really sure what that has to do with Bitcoin, but let's see the reasoning. Core devs redefined what a Bitcoin is. They want to scale using Lightning, so they broke its original functionality and erased the Satoshi copyright. This is the psychotic crap that the BSV idiots, okay, spout and tell each other, okay? This is how you end up with a, you know, like a douchebag like Kurt that sits there and tells everyone that he's a Bitcoin historian. There's no such thing as that. There's no such thing. Anyways, let's continue. Let's continue, because this does get a little bit worse and dumber. Dumber, you say? How's that possible? Well, let's see. BTC is the minority fork. Could have fooled me. Anyways, it has the most hash power, but has the fewest number of honest nodes. Now, that is some CSW bullshit right there.
Who gets to define what an honest node is?
CSW gets to define what an honest node is, right? While him and his dishonest partner do sketchy shit on their chain. Anyways, the nodes are hashing to an orphaned chain. Really? Is that what we're experiencing? An orphan chain? $1 trillion in it? That's whatever. It doesn't matter. BTC is an orphaned chain tip of BSV. Like, it's like they smoke crack and then they tweet. Like, no joke. I swear to God, like, that's what they do. They smoke crack and then they tweet. SegWit tricks the nodes into seeing the orphan chain as being the honest tip. Code is not law. This is the most, I mean, don't get me wrong, but if you've ever watched CSW speak, this is the absolute BS crap that he talks about, okay? Now, there was a couple of other points that this guy made about miner centralization, okay, in Bitcoin. And it got me thinking, why don't we go take a look? Let's compare Bitcoin's mining. All right, so let's compare the hash rates. Right? Let's see what's happening. Here's the BSV hash rate. 63% is from one company. Okay? Look at that. The other one's the SPV pool at 14, and 20% is unknown, which is most likely, you know, CSW's crummy laptop. Oh no, but wait, BSV takes massive amounts of power, so it's Amazon Web Services to the rescue. Anyways, let's take a look at Bitcoins. Wow. That's quite a bit. F2 pool's got 10%, Binance has 11, Poolin at 12, Via BTC at 12, and Pool at 16, Unknown at 32. I mean, I don't know. 63% all coming from one company? That seems like some centralized shit to me. I'm pretty sure if we shut down tal.com, you know, we're going to feel it in BSV's hash rate. Now, look, we've shown BSV's hash rate multiple times. Flatline, dead, nobody's adding to it. I mean, there's really nothing else to be said, you know, when it comes to that. It's just absolutely pathetic. Like, these guys, it's like they came out this weekend in full force with absolute garbage and nonsense. Like, you saw the tweets I read to you. I mean, have you ever heard anything like, what the hell is an orphan chain tip? You know, like, I get what it is technically, but that's not what Bitcoin is. Like, BSV was forked from BCH. BCH was forked from BTC. Any way you look at it, it is a complete shit fork. It doesn't matter what they try to get you to think. Nico,
Man,
what'd you think of that?
It was perfect, bro. And there's just so many misconceptions there. And he used copyright. I think it was just to instill fear in people. Like, look,
what's a Satoshi copyright?
It's like, do you think Bitcoin gives two Fs whether something's copyrighted or not? Like, it doesn't care. It's a monetary network operating completely separate from the fiat analog network that's operating today. And it's not the core devs that decide what software you run. It's the individual user that gets to decide what type of Bitcoin software they want to run. So it's the individual who has the power, right? It's not, you know, this cabal of, you know, Craig Wright saying like, oh, we have the copyright, we have the law, and then, you know, strong arming a couple people taking advantage of the BS libel laws in the UK. Like, that doesn't work in Bitcoin. And let me double back to this concept of hash rate, okay? Mm-hmm. Hash rate it goes up because of market forces, okay? So forget about your ideology or your rhetoric. The market has spoken. Okay, the market keeps saying, right, that that Bitcoin is more valuable. Why? Because the Bitcoin hash rate keeps going up and the BSV hash rate remains the same. Not only does it remain the same, like you just pointed out, Phil, that tal.com could easily 51% attack the BSV network. So why are you using BSV? It's centralized garbage. And it's like, and we're not just telling you that because we're simply Bitcoin. Look at the charts themselves. They speak for themselves, right? Bitcoin is truth. Whether you want to see that truth or not because your mind is clouded because of the bags that you're holding, that's your problem, right? But at the end of the day, the hash rate doesn't lie. The price doesn't lie. It speaks for itself. It stands on its own 2 feet. If Bitcoin could have been defeated by rhetoric and ideologies, it would have been shut down a long time ago. Right? But number go up keeps going up and hash rate keeps going up. And those are the only, and of course, the amount of nodes, right? Those are the only things that matter. You put price aside because price really doesn't matter, right? At the end of the day, it's the hash rate and the amount of nodes securing and backing up the network. That's literally what matters. And if you compare BSV and you compare Bitcoin, right? And you put all the marketing aside, you say, look, none of that. You just compare the two based on those statistics. It will tell you which one is king and which one's a copycat or which one's a shitcoin. It's clear as day, right? And again, look at it for yourself, and we'll pop up graphics through this whole talk so you guys can see it.
They're so pathetic.
It is, man. It's pathetic, and it's costing noobs a fortune, man. Anyone, and dude, I've seen YouTube videos. I've seen people, like, just obsessed with this idea of BSV. Guys, look at the hash rate yourself. The hash rate speaks for itself.
Stop lying to yourself. It's not going to become Bitcoin. I know. It's like all these people are holding the bag because they think that it's all of a sudden going to become Bitcoin. It's a centralized bullshit blockchain that is sold to enterprises for no reason.
Money laundering. Sorry, I had a cough. Did I say something?
It's okay.
But yeah, dude, it's clear as day. And guys, if you hate us for saying this, again, just do a little bit of research.
Yep.
Phil and I have spent, we would have had more Bitcoin today, right, if we would have went straight to Bitcoin and skipped the shitcoining days. So our goal is just to save you a little bit of sats. That's all we're trying to do, man. That's literally all we're trying to do. But anyways, Phil, it's time for
the Daily Meme Review.
All right, everybody. The meme for today is brought to us by a meme legend, Spinte. When we had him on the show, he's definitely a meme legend. Anyways, check out his meme. Shitcoins. Bitcoin Lightning Network. Man, and that's it. I wish it said BSV here. But yeah, man, listen, it defeats the narrative. That's part of the reason that Bitcoin Cash forked in the first place, right? It was like, we want larger blocks, we want more transactions per second. But as Samson Mao has pointed out, it's not about the transactions per second. It's about the amount of value that's being transacted per second. And Bitcoin leads that pack by so much, right? So yeah, man, Lightning kills all narratives, man, because not only is Bitcoin transacting more value per second, now the Lightning Network, a second layer solution, is going to solve that transaction per second problem, right? So it's beautiful, and I think that meme perfectly summarizes that. And for that, I'm going to give it this empty essential water bottle. What about you, Phil?
Very nice, very nice.
You're red.
Yeah, I know, my screen's doing it again. Anyways, dude, that was an awesome meme. I love it. Love Spinte's work. Always fantastic. And you know what? For that, I am going to give it, because I'm ready. I'm getting ready, Nico. I'm giving it my international travel plug. Right.
Dude, that might have been the best Phil gadget you've ever given on the show. No, but those things are so goddamn useful, man. Especially when you're traveling. Man,
I had one before, but it broke.
Why can't everyone just have the same plug?
That's some communist shit right there. What do you mean everyone have the same plug? Free to do what I want. Doesn't matter if my plug doesn't work elsewhere.
Do you think it's a conspiracy theory by all the plug companies? And they're like,
of course,
we can charge them more at the airport.
Of course it's a scam. It's all a scam. Come on, of course they agreed to do this just to make it more difficult. And now, right? And now this company gets to reap the rewards, right?
Does Bitcoin fix
millions.
this?
They're making they're making millions because of all the plug differences.
I don't think Bitcoin fixes this.
Bitcoin does not fix this. But that's okay, because we're okay with the international plugs, right? We have a solution.
Yeah.
And it doesn't require blockchain or a shitcoin, I might add. Okay? Just putting that out there. This company did not have to sell a shitcoin. They just had to make the product.
Hey man, you don't need a plug coin. It's okay. It's fine. Okay. You'll be fine without a plug coin. But anyways, Phil, it's time for it.
The Daily News, sponsored by Crypto Cloaks.
All right, everybody, the news for today. We have this notable tweet by documenting BTC. Awesome account. You should follow him because he documents BTC, Bitcoin.
We tried to get him on the show, but he won't.
He was very noble about it. He
was noble, but we'd still like him to come on the show.
The only point of this account is to document That's a real Bitcoiner right there, my friend.
Totally fair.
That is a real Bitcoiner. That's some selfless ass stuff, and that's what Bitcoiners do. Anyways, so it's happy Bitcoin Independence Day. What does that mean? Phil, could you read this? Because you're much better at reading than I am.
Aw, thanks. Okay, on this day in 2017, the user-activated soft fork, UASF, initiated. A grassroots community-led effort organized. How Bitcoin would change and adapt was in question. Powerful corporations and miners wanted Bitcoin to scale on-chain. The community saw the solution as scaling with layers like the internet. By deciding to upgrade their software regardless of what those powers wanted, the users took the future of Bitcoin into their own hands. Bitcoin defended its neutrality.
And that was today. Today is Bitcoin Independence Day. And those were some scary days. The 2017 fork wars, right? Yep. That's when Bitcoin Cash, came with this argument of like, we need bigger blocks, right? And again, it's what I said earlier, right? And this kind of debunks, right, that concept where he says it's like the core devs, it's like, no, at the end of the day, it was the individuals, right, that refused to be co-opted by one of the largest mining manufacturers, Bitmain, right, and other Bitcoin companies, right, they refused to be co-opted, and they decided, like, listen, no, we like the blocks the way we are, we like the software the way they are, you guys could, start your own shitcoin. That's exactly what they did, and they lost the war. Look at the Bitcoin Cash hash rate, look at the BSV hash rate, and look at the Bitcoin hash rate today, right, and look at the prices. They speak for themselves. We won that war, but it was very scary at the time. There was a moment in time where, artificially, of course, this didn't happen because of market forces, the Bitcoin Cash hash rate overtook Bitcoin's hash rate 2 times. Very scary times to live through something like that. because, man, it was terrifying. But at the end, Bitcoin needed to have that type of stress test to really show that it truly was a decentralized system that's immune from that type of bullshit. Because if those companies co-opted Bitcoin's core, that would have been a very nice backdoor for the government to get involved in as well, right? Mm-hmm. So very scary stuff, but Bitcoin survived and it's stronger for it. Phil?
Yeah, and never forget that enemies of Bitcoin, like Vinny Lingham that started Civic's shitcoin, people like Meltem Demirors, like these were the people that were pushing for this garbage.
Eric Voorhees as well, by the
right?
way.
Eric Voorhees, right? Can't forget him. Like people like that, and don't forget, right? Like who was at the head of the table for BCH? Craig Wright, right? With Roger Ver and Jihan Wu. Mm-hmm. Okay, so and then what happened, right? And then Craig splintered off and started another shitcoin, BSV. So these guys have always tried to coerce Bitcoin for their own ends, and when they couldn't, they went off and shitcoined. Okay, this is what Bitcoin does to the scammer. Okay, you can sit in Bitcoin for a long time going unnoticed, but eventually your incentives are going to drive you. If you're a scammer, you're going to drive yourself to be outed for real. That's what ends up happening, because Bitcoin doesn't bend to anyone's will. It just does what it does. And when you see that it's like you're not going to be the popular guy in Bitcoin, well, then you go off and you make your own shitcoin, and then everybody sees you for exactly what you are.
Yep, and you saw the same thing with Elon, right? The same thing. Right? It's like, I want to be the center of attention. Nope, that's not the way it works, my friend.
You go off to Doge. Hey, look at all those people who bought those freaking bags. Hey,
he wrecked so many people.
But many people.
Guess what, dude? Some ridiculous news, and I've been doing some research. It looks like this is true, right? Saudi Aramco, Gazprom, and ExxonMobile. This is an American company. It's an oil and gas company. This is the largest oil and gas company in Russia, and this is the national oil company of Saudi Arabia, right? Mm-hmm. They move into Bitcoin mining. We've been calling this. In fact, we had Denver Bitcoin on our show a couple months ago, and he said this exact same thing was going to happen. Why did it happen? Because the incentives of Bitcoin are too great. Anyways, let's read the article. Oil giants are beginning to move into Bitcoin mining to reduce harmful greenhouse emissions like methane through gas flaring. We called this 6 months ago. We said this was going to happen, right?
My eco-warrior narrative.
It just dies.
Aww.
Energy from associated gas can power data centers and mining farms. This will increase the percentage of rational use of raw materials. Efficiency. This is especially true of remote regions of Siberia and the Arctic. We said that. We called it stranded energy, where the transportation of associated gas from the fields is unprofitable. But you know what you could do with that extra gas?
Oh, man.
You could turn it into sweet, sweet Satoshis.
No way!
Bitcoin mining can occur anywhere in the world, with it being an energy-intensive process. And remember, Bitcoin mining does not require a lot of internet. As well, like a lot of internet speed or bandwidth. It requires very low. So you could power on a very slow satellite connection, and that works just as well. You could be in the middle of nowhere. As long as you have cheap electricity or cheap energy, you're good to go, mining-wise. To quote the article, we are negotiating with Aramco. All black liquid oil that comes out of the desert belongs to this company. All the flared in Saudi Arabia, all the flared gas they're not using, and that's public information. I could tell you it's enough to power up half the Bitcoin network today from this company alone. I might add that the market cap of Aramco by itself is $1.7 trillion. So it's 3 times the market cap of Bitcoin, right? This is a huge company, and the fact that they're getting into Bitcoin mining is enormous, right? Texas is another big gas burner, with Jim Craner of saying ExxonMobil needs to start using the gas for Bitcoin mining, something that is more than a win-win. And as far as Exxon gets new revenue for what they've already produced, and miners get cheap energy to the point of potentially even free energy, because using the gas for energy can reduce costs and carbon credits, and even penalties for that burn more than 5% of gas, right? So, and not even that, like put the carbon credits aside. If you're burning that into the atmosphere, why not turn that into Bitcoin anyways, right? So super bullish. ExxonMobil is a huge company. Aramco is like one of the biggest oil and gas companies in the world, and Gazprom, I read that there as well, is also the national oil and gas company of Russia, and they're all getting into Bitcoin. Why? Put aside the politics, put aside the rhetoric, put aside the ESG, put aside the green. Why? Because the incentives of Bitcoin make it impossible for them not to do so. They have this energy that's being flared into the atmosphere anyways. Why not turn that into Bitcoin? Right? It's just so obvious. We've been saying this was going to happen for the last 6 months, and it's happening. And Phil, this is so enormous, dude, that, man, when this company does that, the hash rate is going to reach such levels that we can't even imagine today. And are they mining Bitcoin Cash? No. Are they mining BSV? No. They're going to be mining Bitcoin. Phil?
You know, this is really interesting. Let's zoom out. Let's take a look at what's happening. You've got politicians, you've got mainstream media that's telling you that Bitcoin is evil, right? It's going to be stopped and all of this stuff, and you hear the banning news and you hear all of the ESG garbage and all of this stuff. But then you've got these companies, right? Multi-billion-dollar corporations, massive, that honestly, like, their boards of directors don't have a bunch of nobodies. And what are they doing? They're getting into Bitcoin. So that's the signal. The other crap is the noise. What the politicians are doing, that's the circus, right? That's the circus. They're the clowns and you're watching the show. Don't take it seriously. Okay? Like, what you got to do is take a look at what people are doing, not what people are saying.
And people, again, they're either buying Bitcoin or they're mining Bitcoin with that excess energy. The facts speak for themselves, man. And you can't stop it. You can't stop the honey badger. And speaking of not stopping the honey badger, check out this article by mainstream propaganda arm, The Guardian, right? It's a British outlet. And very well respected, I might add, back in the fiat world. But anyways, out of control and rising, why Bitcoin has Nigeria's government in panic. This is just a peek into the future of what happens to what happens to countries when they pass or when they try to control or when they try to co-opt Bitcoin, right? Anyways, let's check out the article. As leaders around the world grapple with Bitcoin and shitcoins, what happened when the African country tried to ban them? Let's see what happened. We've been talking about this for a while. When the Nigerian government suddenly banned access to foreign exchange for textile market companies in March 2019, Moses Awa felt stuck. Oh, it sounds very familiar. According to Bitcoin trading platform Paxful, Nigeria is now second only to the US for Bitcoin trading. Paxful is a peer-to-peer marketplace, I might add. So again, you could shut down a centralized exchange on the internet, but you can't shut down a peer-to-peer market. How do you stop every individual from willingly handing over their garbage fiat for Bitcoin, right? How do you stop that? You can't. Anyways, Nigeria, the dollar volume of Bitcoin and shitcoin received by users, I love how they put crypto. It's like, no, it's Bitcoin. Anyways, the dollar volume of Bitcoin received by users in Nigeria in May was $2.4 billion, up from $684 million last December, according to blockchain research firm Chain Analysis. Chain Analysis is bad. Anyways, but they do really good at analyzing the chain, I guess. Anyways, an array of factors from political repression to currency controls and rampant inflation have fueled the stunning rise of Bitcoin and shitcoins. Why? Why is that? Because people want to keep their value. In February, the government took fright and banned Bitcoin and shitcoin transactions through licensed banks. In late July, it announced a pilot scheme for a new government-controlled digital currency, right? These are central bank digital currencies, hoping to reduce incentives for those wanting to use unregulated Bitcoin and shitcoins. That's the problem. That's the thing that governments don't understand. Their central bank digital currencies will never have the incentives of Bitcoin. Why? Because governments are going to want to control them. And Bitcoin, there's no one controlling it, right? There's no monetary policy. There's no politics involved. They can't shut you off because they don't like what political party you donated to. You know, it's like, man, these central bank digital currencies, like, what are you guys thinking? Anyways, to continue reading the article, Nigeria has one of the youngest populations in the world and is ripe for digital finance. With many people looking for ways to escape widespread poverty, pyramid schemes are proliferating. Anyways, the value of the Nigerian naira has plummeted almost 30% against the dollar in the past 5 years. There's the incentive, guys. That right there is the incentive. When you buy Bitcoin, you're buying literally whatever of 21 million, period. No amount of politics, no amount of rhetoric, no amount of whatever is going to change that, right? period, right? So if you're in Nigeria, right, what incentive do you have of keeping your national currency that the government is just going to print in order to pay for whatever failed policies or whatever wars the government or the state wants to be a part of? What incentive do you have to be a part of that? Why not just get yourself some Bitcoin that you know there's only going to be 21 million of, that you know is going to keep its value, right? What incentive are you going to have to use the national currency? And check this out. Don't believe it from me. Hear it from someone in Nigeria himself. I'm going to read you this comment to respond. It was Bitcoin Archive said, Nigeria is now second only to the US for Bitcoin trading. And this, I'm assuming he's from Nigeria. Because we are under a dictatorship pretending to be democratic while the currency is tanking every day due to central bank printing money. The tech savvy have converted their money into Bitcoin and shitcoin USD, right? So like that is a glimpse into the future. And he says democratic dictatorship, we're seeing the same signs in the West, right? The reactions to, the scandemic, right? How the government's overreacted, they're having these draconian lockdowns. If people were really scared of what was going on, they would stay at home. They wouldn't need big daddy government to dictate what they can and what they can't do, right? And we also have the US Central Bank and the European Central Bank doing the same thing. They're printing money into oblivion, literally impoverishing their citizens to keep their power, right? So I suspect what's happening in Nigeria is foreshadowing what's going to happen on a global wide level, man. As soon as more and more people wake up to the scam of what is the fiat matrix. Anyways, Phil?
How pathetic is it that they actually have to cash out of their currency into, like, it's worth it for them to go to a stable coin, right? Like that's how sad that is. Like their currency, they're better off sitting in a shit coin. That's kind of funny. I mean, like like that's how pathetic it is. And that's also, like, again, this is where we see the warning signs. It's exactly what you said. I mean, this stuff is coming fast. And look, he even said it. The government, the central bank, is printing the money and they can't stop it. They can't stop doing it. They've got nothing left. These people, right, they just want to store their value. They're just, like everyone, they're just tired of being poor, right? Like, why is it that we punish these people that just that have no other means than to hold their money? Oh, well, you know what? Here's a way that I can steal from you. The person, I want you to think about that. Stealing from the person who already barely has anything. You're even going to take that away from them. It's just so pathetic and scary and sad.
It is, man. And governments are going to have to get used to the fact that they no longer have a monopoly on the creation of money. And the sooner they come to that, realization and they adopt Bitcoin, the faster their countries and their citizens are going to flourish, right? And the faster they're not going to have fun staying poor. The more you fight Bitcoin, you're just scaring people that hold Bitcoin. You're just scaring Bitcoin away, right? And man, you see this with El Salvador. We're going to talk about this tomorrow, but it was just released in a report essentially that their GDP is going to increase higher than their expectations. And I would have to say that probably has to do with them making Bitcoin legal tender, man. So it's just, it's crazy, man. And governments really need to wake up, especially in the US, right? You had China hand the US a golden opportunity. They banned Bitcoin mining within its borders, right? They're literally giving this to the United States, saying, here, you take the lead, right? And you know what the United States does? They're looking. We're going to cover this week. It looks like they're going to pass this crazy bill that's gonna try to co-opt people to report every single transaction that you ever had to the IRS. Not only is that bill not enforceable, it just creates this free arm to the government to just go after Bitcoiners. Literally, there's no control on them. Right? It's just BS, man. It's BS. So governments need to wake the fuck up, or they're gonna get left behind. Period. That's the way it is. That's the reality.
It's just more totalitarian crap. I mean, that bill is definitely, the vague language in it. This is exactly what they do. I mean, It's just a bunch of bullshit speak, right? So that they cast a net. This is what we were talking about before we started filming. Like, that's why they're putting this language in. They can cast this wide net and see whatever they can pull in. But at the end of the day, right? When we are able to separate the money printing from the government will have to provide value if they want to stay in business. Just like all the businesses in their countries, right? If you want to stay in business, you have to provide value, unless, you just take a bunch of, government money and produce absolutely nothing.
And you can no longer do that anymore. In a
Can't do that in a Bitcoin world. Mm-hmm. You'll have to provide value, because there's no more money printing. So now you have to provide value.
It's crazy, man. I think governments are in for a reality check, but I think that they're going to try to fight it tooth and nail, like we see in the United States with that BS bill, right? They're going to try to fight this tooth and nail. Why? Because they want to keep the power of the unlimited money printer, man. They're going to want to try to keep that. But again, like you see in Nigeria, even with the government trying anything within its power to try to ban it, you can't stop the honey badger. Why? The incentives are too great. When it comes to saving your value and wanting a better future for your family, fiat depresses you psychologically and economically, and Bitcoin just, man, it creates a better future. It gives you hope, right? Yeah. So good luck, guys. But anyways, Phil, it's time. No, there was a software release today. Why don't you show everybody about it?
Software releases. All right, we've got Blue Wallet version 6.2.2 that was released. It's not a red wallet. It's not a yellow wallet. It's not a green wallet, it's a blue wallet. We've got that down below in the show notes.
Awesome, thank you.
One day you're going to write something incredibly stupid there, and I'm going to read it anyways.
Oh my god. It's a Bitcoin software wallet, by the way, guys.
Yes, that's right. And Lightning.
And they have an app for the iPhone, they have a desktop app. It's really cool.
And you can connect to your own Electrum server as well.
Yes, and Nuno's an awesome guy. The developers are awesome as well. But anyways, guys, that was our show. If you enjoyed the show, you know what to do. Smash that like button. And of course, if you want to continue hearing the catastrophic fiat and shitcoin fails, there's so many, and the Bitcoin news from the pleb perspective, definitely consider subscribing. And we'll see you tomorrow, guys, for another episode of Simply Bitcoin.
The governments are going to have to provide value if they want to stay in business.